My question for you today is, what should you do when life is hard? I mean, when it's really hard and nothing seems to be going your way, and God not only isn't answering your prayers, He just doesn't even seem to care at all. What do you do then? Well, I want to tell you one of my favorite stories. It's found in the Bible about a man named Elijah, but I need to give you the context. So the Bible tells us that for 3.5 years, there was no rain. There was famine in the land. I mean, this is a desperate situation, especially in an agricultural culture. And often in the Bible, rain represents God's blessing and His promises. So what do you do when you're in a famine? When it feels like God isn't blessing you and His promises aren't coming true in your life, and maybe it's been a really, really long time. Well, in 1 Kings 18:41, here's what we read. Elijah said to Ahab, who is the king, "Go eat and drink, for there is the sound of a heavy rain." Now, this is interesting because there was no evidence that this was going to happen. Elijah had to speak in faith as if it were so. So it says the king Ahab, he went off to eat and drink, but Elijah climbed to the top of Carmel, bent down to the ground, and put his face between his knees. That is a position of desperation. And he says to his servant, "Go and look toward the sea." And the servant went up and looked, and he said, "There's nothing there. There is nothing there." Here Elijah has put himself out there. He said God's going to show up in a really powerful way, but no, there was no evidence to it. And he says to his servant, "Go check." And the servant comes back and says, Elijah, nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. But 7 times Elijah said, "Go back." And on the 7th time, the servant reported, a cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea. So Elijah said, "Go and tell Ahab, you better hitch up your chariot and go down before the rain bogs you down and stops you." You know what I've learned? I've learned in the famines of life, when life is really hard and I don't have the answers, and to be totally honest, I don't think God is giving me the answer, I have learned to be persistent in prayer. The Bible says that Elijah asked 7 times. 7 times. I mean, at what point do you go, it's not working, I just want to give up? He did it 7 times. And of course, 7 in the Bible is God's perfect number. You know, here's the thing. There are some things that God will do, even if no one prays. And it's true that there are some things that God will not do, even if everyone prays. But the Bible is clear that there are some things that God will do only if people pray without ceasing. So I really want to encourage you, keep praying. Don't give up. God is doing something. And speak and act as if it has already happened. And you can do that based on God's character and promise. So many times in my life, I've just acted as if it's already done, even though there may be no evidence to support that. I put my trust in God and His character. That's enough evidence for me. So be persistent in your prayer. And that is a stepping stone toward being who God has created you to be today.